Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. I'm your host, Phil Friedrich, and today I'm honored to have Ganon Baker with me. Ganon is a basketball trainer, skills coach, keynote speaker, and an author. And one of the things that I think will be really prevalent in his story today is when you know where you want to go, the obstacles don't seem as big as when you don't know where you want to go. So, Ganon, thanks so much for being on today, my man.
Phil, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored. I look forward to learning from you. I hope we can impact at least one person today.
I have no doubt that we can with your story. So, to start your story, growing up, your dad was a basketball coach. And so, talk a little bit about, finding a love for something, whether that was, hey, your dad was like Pistol Pete's dad and kind of, ingrained basketball in you, or he said, hey, figure it out on your own tempo, but he was a resource for you.
My dad, mom were my life source here on earth. So obviously you're connected to them. You want to be like them. You want to do what they do. So my dad was a teacher and a coach, and he didn't really force it on me. He just did what he did, and I was curious, and he would take me to the gym. And then when I got old enough to understand what he did a little bit, he told me his life as a high school player, as a college player, and then as a high school coach. So I kind of organically learned how to play the game at the early age of 8, but I didn't really work at the game. See, this is different. A lot of
Yeah.
people like something. I end up loving it. A lot of people are interested in something. I became committed. A lot of people become playful at something. I became passionate at
Yes.
at the age of 13. So, but it doesn't start that way. At 7 and 8, I kind of got introduced to the game, and then as the late great Kobe Bryant, we can talk about his 3 Ds. I got deep into the game at age 13. Now, my grandfather, I don't tell this story enough. So, Phil, give me a couple seconds to tell me about my grandfather. Lived right across the street. His name was Bill Robertson. This cat was a World War II veteran. He became a 4-star All-American, 4-sport star All-American at the University of Richmond, right? Football, baseball, basketball, and golf. And he's the one that put a basket on the side of a porch. It was like a cardboard plywood with a little rusted rim he got at a garage sale. Maybe it was about 6 feet. And I started, shooting jumpers, not left and right-handed at the time. That came later, but right-handed layups in his backyard right across the street. His driveway was the size of a high school court. So there's my training lab for the future.
I love that. Now, as you're growing up and developing a passion and a love for basketball, you enter into high school, and in high school, you're on a state champion team, but you played against one of the greatest players, that ever got a Grace Duke's uniform and then into the NBA with Grant Hill. So talk a little bit about the competitive nature of the high school level and really entering into kind of that next level of depth, right? I think
Yeah.
high school is oftentimes a differentiator on did you like the sport or did you love it, right?
Correct. And I love high school sports. There still is great high school sports out there, but it all depends on the culture. And I grew up in Hampton, Virginia. I played at Hampton High School, 87, 88, 89, and 90. And at the time, our football team was, top 50 in the country. They win the state championship every year, every other year. Mike Smith, Hall of Famer, Football Hall of Fame. So it wasn't a basketball school. They won a state championship in 69, right? When the team was all white. Fast forward to 89, the team's all black except the only salt and pepper shaker. My name was Cap, white boy, white bread, white shadow. But it really didn't matter what they called me. It's what they felt from me. And that's where I learned my competitive spirit, because I had to fight through obviously being different, obviously being young, athletic, quick. I was not. So I had to use my heart. I had to use my head. That's where I got a lot of my content with one of my best-selling videos, How to Survive as an Undersize, by being smart, tough, and skilled. And so, obviously putting in work, unseen hours. A pivotal moment came in my life. I was a junior. It was December 18th or 19th, my junior year. Our big man got into a fight with our point guard in the locker room. knocked him out like cold, broke his orbital socket. If it happened to today's generation, he would probably go into jail, second, third degree assault. But nothing happened to him. He didn't play that game. Our point guard got knocked out. Our coach started a freshman in front of me.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, I beat this guy in ones but anyway. And so I'm sitting on the bench telling our assistant coach who played in the NBA, he played at NC State. His name was Art Jones, very competent guy. Man, I'm transferring. F this, man. This is messed up. Everything that I teach,
Mm.
I was the opposite at 16. I had no emotional, maturity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I'm a transfer. And Art Jones said, watch.
Mm.
Jay's not ready. By
Mm.
the second quarter, I got subbed in because, he wasn't playing that well. The rest is history, Phil. I
Yeah.
was honorable mention All State. I was MVP of the state tournament. We won the state tournament. We beat Grand Hill's team my junior year. I had a great summer. All of the work, my vision that I tried to defend for so long since I was 13. Fast forward to when, 4 years later at 17, now my vision is defending me. Now I see the fruits of my labor. I'm pounding the stone, whatever you want to call it. I finally started to reap the benefits of my work ethic. I got 31 Division I, Division II offers.
Mm.
My senior year, we played Grant Hill's team again in the state tournament. We beat them again. Rewind, me and Grant played on the same five-star summer league team in New York. That summer, we were roommates
Yeah.
and became friends. We were pen pals at Duke.
Yeah.
And then, because he can't believe this team with this crazy white boy beat his team, which was number one in the state. They were like number 20 in the country, and we beat them.
Yeah.
My senior year, and then we ended up losing in the state final my senior year. But that's where I developed the roots and the foundation of compete, don't complain, be curious about
Yeah.
greatness. My 3 C's: compete, don't complain, be curious. What do you mean by curious? How is that guy a great player? Let me go ask him what he
Mm.
does. Why am I not playing? Let me be so good that the coach can't ignore me. What do I need to do better?
Yeah.
Curiosity is the antithesis or the opposite of complain.
Yeah.
Complain,
Well,
be curious of why.
yeah. So one thing that comes to mind as you say that, and once again, you share a story of being, in high school, and I think anyone that's played athletics has probably had that moment where you felt like you were better than someone else. You had probably proven it to yourself, but they get a nod. And I think the tough part is being mentally tough enough that when you get the chance, you're then there, or to not, get mad and just say, yeah, I'm transferring, whatever. And we're talking about it in the scope of basketball, but someone listening right now is like, I just got passed up for a promotion and within my company, and I'm sitting here like, well, maybe I should just leave the company then. Clearly they don't value me. Maybe I should go somewhere else. So take it. You can either talk about it in the context of basketball or in the bigger picture. But what's a word of advice? What can someone do there to maybe not take the moment of flight and maybe figure out, well, how do I fight and get what I feel like I've earned?
That's a great, great question. I appreciate you letting me answer. Here's a great lesson, law, if you will. That's probably one of my favorite, being a leader for so long. You can't give away what you don't have.
Mm.
You can't pass on what you don't possess.
Yeah.
You can't model as a leader what you don't practice. And so that pivotal moment, my junior year at the age of 16, if I would have left uncomfortable to go be comfortable, look at the gems and rewards and diamonds I would have missed. The
Yeah.
Grand Hill relationship,
Yeah.
the state championship, but more so the values and the spirit of being a fighter and being mentally tough.
Mm.
So now, as a global coach, I've coached and taught in 6 continents, 52 countries, and growing. I'm
Yeah.
51, and I still get asked to coach NBA players. I have a chance to coach a guy named Keldon Johnson in San Antonio
Yeah.
this summer. My point is, one of the biggest lessons, one of the biggest things parents and coaches ask me is, can you help us become mentally tougher? Can you share lessons on practical things to bring out and help transfer toughness? Well, again, I'm tough. I modeled it. I went through some battles. I have some scars I can talk about. I absolutely authentically can teach toughness because I am tough. And so anybody looking to transfer from job to job or get out of an uncomfortable situation, nothing wrong with that. Don't you dare want to become an impactful, strong, authentic leader. At some point, you're going to have to teach your followers and employees, whoever's under the sound of your voice, how to be tough. And if you didn't model it, it's only influence. You'll
Yeah.
influence, but you're not going to change their life. You're not going to change their mindset. You're not going to really find solutions that impact if you didn't model that consistently in your life. Now, I'm not saying you're perfect, but there are, like, as Pat Riley said in his book, you got to put your feet in the stand, draw the line, and say, yo, I ain't moving. I'm
Oh,
standing on this. And that's the most important thing that I look back at the time. I didn't know clue I was going to change my life. But because I took a stand and said, you know what, Pop, you know what, Coach, I'm not transferring. I'm not going to flee. I'm going to figure it out and fight.
yep. I love that.
Let's go, Phil. I'm motivated. Let's
Yes, sir. I'm
go.
fired up. So all of that, you transition in high school to the college ranks, and once again, you had many different scholarship offers, but you end up picking Duquesne. And in your first year there, freshman year, you're on the all rookie, all freshman team. And so, talk a little bit about that, transition for you from high school to college. I mean, once again, going from 18 to playing guys that might be 23, 24, there's a little bit of a difference there, and you got to figure out how to adapt quickly. So that way you don't get passed up again, right? You got to find your way in.
You know, I wasn't as good as all these players coming out now. Even in Division Two, you see these freshmen coming in, starting right away, one and done, two and done. Man, that wasn't me. I was like five and done. You know, I came in my freshman year, and man, I sucked. I needed to get tougher. We had a guy named Clayton Adams in front of me, and he was built like a running back. He should have been playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, Duquesne is in Pittsburgh, as part of the Atlantic 10, tough league. UMass, West Virginia, Penn State, Rutgers, Temple, St. Joe's. I mean, it was almost what the Big East is now.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready. Thank God they believed in me. And the best thing happened to me is I broke my foot.
Mm,
I had a stress fracture,
mm,
right? So I was in a cast most of the year. I didn't show well early in the preseason, so I got bullied. Again, I was the only white dude on the team. There was another guy that came in late, white guy, but like it was just us two. I got bullied. I got bullied with a cast. I got water poured on me at New Year's Eve, and I had shaving cream on my face, sleeping. Like it was tough. Wanted to transfer,
yeah.
didn't.
Mm,
Long story short, worked out, learned from my mistakes. You know, Kobe talks about it's not a loss if you learn.
yeah.
Oprah talks about using failures in education. You got to go through hell to get through heaven. You know, scars are something you can talk about. Pain is nothing but weakness leaving the body holistically. And
Mm,
so I used all of that. And man, I came out my red shirt freshman year like a machine.
yeah.
You know, I was averaging about 19 a game as a redshirt freshman. We were middle of the pack in Atlantic 10. We beat Temple, right? And that was huge on at the time, Home Team Sports which is kind of a version of ESPN. And then right around late January, I broke my foot again.
Mm,
And yeah, man, ended up playing through it. It wasn't a bad break, but I ended up making the all freshman team, no problem. And so, we finished 500 for the year. But again, it was tough because basically the lesson is I didn't complain. I competed, but the bullies, they just made me better.
yeah.
You
Well,
know what I mean?
it
They just made me better.
Yeah, well, and a thing that I'm hearing as an underlying tone, though, that I want to make sure that gets highlighted is if you don't have confidence in yourself, it's easy to say the solution is transferring, right? The solution is, hey, you know what? Maybe that guy was better. Like, I'll just go somewhere else and I'll find my spot. But when you've put in the effort, you've put in the time, you know what you bring to the table. The solution isn't, oh, well, I'll just leave or I'll go find something easier. It's like it's almost a shot to your pride. You're like, well, no, I've put in the time. Like I know how good I am, and I just need to get the opportunity, right? And once I have that opportunity, then I can show out.
Yeah, I mean, to me, running from battles is not a victory.
Yeah.
And I guess internally, my dad being a coach, one of the movies that really changed my life in 2 hours was the fictional character that Sylvester Stallone had, Rocky.
Yeah.
I, if I'm in a fight, I'm trying to win.
Yep.
Like I'm trying to win. And so when you run, that's not winning. I get it. Sometimes you need to walk away. I'm a Christian. You turn the other cheek. That's winning.
Yep.
But as an athlete, if I'm not playing and I go to somebody somewhere else, I might not play there either because the problem follows you. The
Yes.
environment changes, but you are still you. You can't run from you.
Yep.
And so I want to make sure holistically, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, before I go to another environment, like I'm gonna win where I'm at.
Yep.
And then wherever I go, because I mean, you got to transfer. I end up transferring from Duquesne at the end of the year because
Yes.
I could end up getting fired. And the 7 guys I came in with, all of them left except 2. So I get that. But I didn't leave until I had the weapons to win somewhere else. And it was hard at Duquesne because I got bullied, but it made me better. And there was a battle that I won because everybody has to understand you got to embrace battles. Why? Because at the end of a battle is a victory.
Yeah.
What people don't understand, like, do you want adversity? No, no, man. If you ask kids right now, there was a research done about the 10 top dreams of elementary, middle, and high school kids.
Mm.
And if you look it up online, all of the dreams have something to do with fun, comfort, joy,
Yeah.
money, money,
Yeah.
fame, power, dream job, dream girl, candy. Like, so we all want to be comfortable. No, but when uncomfortable comes, put on the gloves and say, all right, I'm about to add some tools to my toolbox. That's Kobe. Kobe
Mm.
worked out so hard that he would black out physically and mentally. Why? Because he knows that he was adding tools to his toolbox, therefore the game was easy. So if this battle you attack with all you got, the next one won't even seem like a battle. And now
Oh,
you get my cousin's a Navy SEAL. Their thing is become normal in the abnormal. Make make
yeah.
the abnormal normal. And so
Yeah.
it's pain tolerance,
Yep.
Phil. One of the things that living life, being a CPA, right? Being a
Yeah.
CPA, life is hard,
Yep.
right? Most of people are depressed. 1 out of 3 humans are depressed. Suicide is an all-time high. Mental health, right? This world is if you is going down, but there's a vision, there's a light that you can see, and you can make the world the way you want it if your pain tolerance is high. Because
Yes.
things that hurt some people don't affect you because you have a high pain tolerance. Why? Because you've worked out in life. You've gone through
Yep.
battles. You didn't flee. You fought. You educated your mind. You educated your soul. You found solutions to the
Yeah.
problem holistically that we as humans face. Like if I told you the real me, like some of the battles I had to fight that nobody knows about, she'd be like, man, I would have checked out. I know. But my pain tolerance is high because it started at 16. And
Yes.
and I'm an entrepreneur. I started a business that nobody believed in. And I call it taking the punches. Man, you take enough punches, you don't feel them no more.
Yep.
Rocky Balboa.
Yes. Yes. So I love that. And so to parlay off of that, you mentioned, hey, transfer to out of Duquesne to UNC Wilmington, and then in your time there, we didn't necessarily go straight to starting a business, but we wanted to get into coaching. And that was kind of the route that you had thought you'd go, do a little bit of the coaching route, and then also play professionally. So talk a little bit about the transition from playing to getting into coaching and then the opportunity to go play in Iceland.
Yeah, so when I transferred to UNC Wilmington, I probably had one of the best coaches I've ever had in my life. His name was Kevin Eastman. He became a Nike president of skill development, and then he later became Doc Rivers' assistant in the LA Clippers and the Boston Celtics. They won a world championship. And he kind of emphasized and highlighted one of the reasons why I love basketball is because of the development and the relationships you have with players. So
Yeah.
UNC won with, I started, I got the leadership award. We co-champions my senior year. But I knew that my pro career was limited and I wanted to be a coach. So I mastered in uh, kinesiology, got majored in kinesiology, got a master's in it. And when I graduated, I didn't have a lot of offers. I went to some tryout camps, got hurt my back. So I went into coaching
Yeah.
and I had some really good coaches, coached 5.5 years, NCAA Division I, Division II, Ham University, Belmont Abbey, Coastal Carolina. And then, I started to notice, you know what? I like coaching college, but I don't love it. And
Yeah.
so I started to getting into, what the Bible calls purpose and assignment. Like, what's this? Something didn't feel right.
Mm.
Yes, I could have been a millionaire coaching college basketball. Yes, I could have been famous. I was no question I could have been on TV right now.
Yeah.
How about this? My roommate in college, one of the freshmen that I mentored, because our coach always had us mentor the freshmen. Mark Byington is the assistant coach at is the head coach at James Madison right now, and he's about to be rumored to be the head coach at West Virginia after season. So I'm like, the assistant I worked for at Coastal became the associate head coach at Florida, won a national championship with Billy Donovan and Notre Dame with Mike Bray. So I'm like, of course, but that wasn't my purpose.
Mm.
That wasn't my calling. I didn't chase, put possessions. I chased passion.
Yeah.
I didn't care if I was rich. I just wanted to do something I love. And I
Mm.
found out if you chase passion, the paychecks will come. Matter of fact, the paychecks are tied to your passion.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting out of college coaching, played in Iceland, played a year, tore tibial tendon, got hurt. And it's a crazy story of how I started my business. But in the year 2000, I started my business and I've been doing it ever since my 24th year.
Yeah. So I think it was called Shake and Bake, right? That was the name of the business to start with.
Phil, you've been on Wikipedia, man. Well done, sir. Yeah, it started out as Shake and Bake because that was my nickname in high school. So I started it in my parents' living room. I had a boot, I had a
Yeah.
legal pad, no social media. I put an ad in the yellow pages. I put an ad in the paper. And my first client was like a drug dealer trying to get right and trying to get into his bag for summer league. And then my first other clients were Tommy and Chris Frazier Johnson. Never forget them. 8 and 10-year-old brothers. Started training them. They got better. I was in a boot, in a chair. I started speaking at the local schools in the Hampton Roads area. Old Dominion University, Norfolk State, William & Mary. I did speeches in a chair, music, bam, 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 two-ball shooting. I was anointed, if you know what that means, and God favored me. I went all over the state, and then the rest is history, man. I became the pioneer of skill training. Nobody was doing it, no social media. I had no path. So I had a machete. I was just creating my own path, figuring it out, going through all the doubt, going through all the haters, going through all the no's, right?
Yes.
But I didn't hear the no's because I was so anointed by God. He put a conviction. And I call it the 5 C's. As a leader, as an entrepreneur, man, you got to have clarity, competency, conviction, charisma, and consistency. And I had all that, but it was from a higher power. I don't, people say, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did it either. I tried to win the day. I
Yeah.
just tried to be obedient. But the main thing is I had passion.
Yep.
You know, I had the 5 C's, clarity. I knew who I was. And so whenever I got criticism, Rocky said this, man, I know what I'm doing. I know who I am and I know whose I am. And that's how I did it, man. I became the best in the world. I created this industry. So all the skill trainers out there and private coaches, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I never got into the shiny objects. I was blessed to train with a Kobe and all these guys behind me, Darren Williams, LeBron, KD, Kyrie, Maya Moore, Brittany Griner. But I didn't do that for the fame. I didn't do that for the money that came. That's byproducts. I did it because I loved it. I did it because I loved them. I wanted them to be great, right? And I did it because I wanted to impact people for the Lord. I wanted to, take my gifts and show people how great God can be. Not trying to convert them to any religion or Christianity, but there was a purpose in my life, and I backed it up with a passion. And that's the solution for any entrepreneur or leader. You have a
Yeah.
purpose with a passion, you're unstoppable.
So something I want to highlight with that is, so many people say, well, gosh, I've heard that before, but what's the missing link? And I think the missing link is something that you mentioned, but can get caught in the weeds or maybe overlooked, and that is purpose, passion, and then you took action. Right. You were doing the hard things of hearing the no's. You were going around to speaking gigs that you probably didn't get paid for, but you want to, get yourself out there. And so you had to, take the swings, you had to take the shots, even though in the beginning there may not be a whole bunch of receptivity. You had to hear the people in your corner that you would hope would give you the most support say, what are you doing? Like, that's not even a real job. Right? Like, you could be a coach, you could be a teacher, but like, you can't just go train people, you have to have a different job. And you said, I hear you, I appreciate your advice, but I have a purpose and I have a passion for this, and I'm going to go take action to make it happen. So talk a little bit about that piece of it, purpose, passion, and then actually taking the action to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Martin Luther King once said, "It's not what you're called; it's who you answer to."
Mm,
So I started my business in a boot, not knowing what I was going to do. So I went to who I answered to. I went to my life source. I'm a Christian, so not perfect. That's why I'm a
yeah,
Christian,
yeah,
right? Went to him and said, "All right, God, man, what the hell you want me to do, man? This is bull." Had that conversation. This is bull crap, man.
yeah.
What do you want me to do? I'm 28. What do you want me to do? And somehow I got the book called The Purpose Driven Life by Rick
Mm,
Warren and The
yeah.
Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson. And I had a notebook and I just started writing. And so, all right, it's from God. Let me try this out. So I said, all right, I'm going to try it for a year. Then I went to my parents and they thought I was nuts. They said, you'll scare people, Gannon. It's not it's not legitimate. You can't look you don't go to school for this. You have a master's, Gannon, in kinesiology. You have a minor in math. I'm like, all right, cool. How do you feel I am as a speaker, as a teacher? Oh, you're phenomenal. You're a great coach. You were on your way up to be. So you think I'm a great coach? Yes. You think I'm a great speaker? Yes. You think I have a good heart? Of course, son. That's all I need.
Yeah.
So I have to answer to my parents.
Mhm.
They're not entrepreneurs.
Yep.
They're safe. They are system workers. They want to be taken by they want to be taken care of by the government. They want a pension. They want corporate. They were educators. They were teachers. My dad was a principal. So it's a system, right? It's
Yep.
it's it's the culture. You go to school, you get a degree, you work for 25 years, then you retire. You do the same. You do the same. Now he got purpose out of that. He loved it. I'm like,
Yes.
that's a prison for me.
Yeah.
And so I honored his thoughts about business, but I wanted to see if he believed in me as a teacher, and he
Mm,
did, and he knew I had passion. I'm like, I'm good. I know I'm going to make it. So I didn't have a plan. The reason why I could go through all the no's is because I knew who I was. I
love that.
knew that I could be a great teacher. I knew that I was an inspirator. I knew that I was a motivator. Like I knew my passion
Yeah.
was so much stronger than the pain of rejection and no's and hard. And it might take 3 years. I mean, I didn't make good money until 4 years later. I didn't make six figures until my seventh year,
Yeah.
right? And I've been making six figures netting ever since.
Yeah.
Now, trainers now, you're welcome.
Yeah.
They can, because of social media and guys like myself and another guy named Phil Handy, and who's assistant coach for the Lakers. He started in '98 unofficially, and Dave Hopla, right, who's now living in shooting coach, the best in the world, a shooting trainer, right? Us three, like we paved the path. Social media geniuses out there, you can make six figures now in a year and a half. So my point is, if you're out there and you know who you are, and you know there's a need for what you have, don't worry about plan B. Your plan A will work. You just need to be persistent. Last thing I'll say is there was a need for what I was offering: skill, motivation, inspiration, impact. Number one, it was illegal for high school coaches to work with their players during the off season.
Yep.
Number two, many high school coaches didn't have the experience or the gifting I had.
Yeah.
So I knew I could be an asset to high school A, B, C, D, and E. I just had to learn how to, as a leader, go connect. Look, I'm not trying to overtake you or step on your toes. I'm not trying to make you feel inferior, right? Insecure. I'm just trying to help you impact. How can I help you? I washed feet,
Yeah.
so to speak. And
I
because of
love
that
it.
attitude, doors open for me and been doing it ever since.
I love that. So in that process, to your point, first person you brought on was a guy that was trying to get out of one life and into a next one. And then in that same breath, you said, and then I've also worked with the best of the best, right? I mean, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and different folks. So talk a little bit about how the doors started to open up as you were growing it, right? Going from the first 4 years, probably making enough to get by, but maybe not a lavish lifestyle, to being able to grow and expand who you're working with from a clientele standpoint, but also, numbers.
Phil, you are on top of it, man, because when you ask great questions, you get great answers.
Well, you're full of great answers, so I'll take a little credit on the question then.
My answers come from your great questions. So, um, servant warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you get opportunities. Whether I'm working out the drug dealer who's trying to get into his basketball bag and not into another bag,
Yeah.
I give him everything. I train him real. I train him like he's going to play for North Carolina, Virginia, the Golden
Yeah.
State Warriors. The 8, 9-year-old, I'm not as hard on them as I would a college sophomore, right? I don't,
Yeah.
right? I'm very developmentally appropriate physically and mentally, but I train them hard. I love on them. It's not a babysitting session. It's not a birthday party. Although I did birthday parties for stay-at-home moms one summer to earn one winter because I didn't have anything during the winter. All my stuff came early on during the summer, and I did birthday parties, and I was a clown. When I'm training, I'm a professional.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't love basketball. I'm gonna show you how to love it. And whether you end up loving basketball because of my impact, the love and passion that I transfer to you, now you have a proof of concept. Now you know how to model it in whatever you love.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I don't think people really realize is that when you hire me, you're seeing somebody that really loves life,
Mm.
loves people, loves God, and loves what he does.
Yeah.
I'm a walking example of love, man. And like you can't understand it until you're there. That's why all these social media idiots, they try to, man, this guy's not real. He's putting on it. I don't even answer. And Martin Luther King, it's not what you call it, because they don't know until they're
They're in it.
there.
Yeah.
So the opportunities I got is because I said yes to. Never turn down an opportunity
Mm.
because you never know who's watching or where that'll lead to. So 9:30 at night, I've been training 6 hours in Virginia. I'm going, not 9:30, it's about 7:30 at night. I'm going through the tunnel. I get a call from Boo Williams, who's in the Hall of Fame, Nike
Yeah.
coach for Hampton Roads, trained Iverson played for them, Lonzo
Yeah.
Moore, JJ Riddick. It's the AAU team that I played on when I grew up. When I grew up, it was his second team. It was the second year. He had one team, and it was the second. I was, a backup point guard on his team. So he said, "Hey, Gannon, I know you're training players, and we got the Nike scout coming to watch us practice. You need to take the practice over because you can maybe get a job. They're doing a skill academy."
Wow.
boo, man, I'm tired. He's like, no, again, I like you to do that. I'm like, all right. And so tired, no pay. I mean, it was free. Boo didn't pay
Yeah.
you. No bono.
Yeah.
Go in there at 9:30, didn't start till 10. So I'm like, oh man. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's get after it. Let's
Yeah.
win the workout. And for an hour and a half, man, guy's name was Don Crenshaw. I was so good. No, no, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
I was so good he couldn't ignore me. And he gave me basically a 17-year contract with Nike that opened up the door to all these pros. Now, when I'm in front of pros, they're not celebrities to me. You're a human. No, LeBron, I love you, but you got weaknesses. So do I.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
learn from each other. I'm iron, you're iron. Let's sharpen iron. It's not about, hey, you're better than me as a player because they were make more money than me because they do. But you know what? My skills are better than yours. Hell, I didn't train all that time for nothing. God prepared me. Like my ball handling skills, my shooting skills were as good or better than most of the pros.
Yeah.
Only guy that got me a little like starstruck or hesitant or a little insecure because I'm like, man, I don't know what I could teach this guy was Kobe.
Yeah.
He was the only one that I was man, I knew I could. I was just shocked because I didn't know. I mean, he was so intelligent, so like intimidating, and I'm like, man, this dude's on it. I thought I was David Goggins, the skill, right?
Yeah.
Kobe is a machine, like a Terminator. But the rest of them, so I didn't treat those opportunities like a lot of these guys do. Photo op,
Yeah.
relationship network. I
Yeah.
was network. I'm there to help your net worth.
Yes.
And a
Well,
lesson out there to all these people trying to move up the ladder, man, work on you.
yeah.
Work on you. Work on your net worth holistically, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, financially, it will come.
Yep.
But your net worth helps you network because then
Absolutely.
they come to you.
Well, and so to that, a specific instance that I heard was you're training Amari Stoudemire, and he shows up late to the workout, and you go, well, I'm not going to just sit around and wait all day. So you end up bouncing out, and you say, hey, if this ends up getting me fired, it gets me fired. But it's like I'm respectful of your time. I want you to be respectful of mine, and there was a lesson learned there. So talk a little bit about that, and I think you said it earlier, hey, at some point you draw a line in the sand and you say, all right, this is where I stand and these are the things I stand for. And if I don't stand for something, then I'll fall for anything, right?
Yeah, well, it's non-negotiables.
Yeah.
It's culture. It's things that you're not going to break on. You might bend, but you're not going to break. And one of those was accountability.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons why it's so hard to train elite athletes, pros in any sport, and Deion Sanders talks about this because they have too many possessions, right? And they have too much power.
Mm.
Some of it's ill-advised, some of it's non-warranted, like they don't deserve that power. But the world that we live in is fickle, and we idolize people that have fame and money, and it goes into even the elections of the United States. If you got a lot of money, you probably might have a chance to be president. If I'm wrong, DM me. Don't DM Phil, DM me. But my point is, you know, I didn't want to be a fanboy. I
Yeah.
knew that if I treated Amari like he was a friend, then we couldn't take his mind and body to another level because
Mm.
training is hard. I'm not
Yep.
your friend. There's a fine line between being a friend and a mentor, being a coach, right?
Yep.
A groupie. And so, plus, I'm a man.
Yeah.
I have a family. I'm a professional. I'm one of the best in the world at I do, Amari. I know
Yeah.
you're rookie of the year and you're on the NBA, but the one thing, right, that I tell people is like what you respect, you can access, and there
Mm.
has power. What you disrespect, you can't access. And so if he and I wanted to access each other's great, we had to respect. And that was the only time that summer he disrespected, because not only would I didn't mind him being late, things happen, Phoenix traffic,
Yeah.
he got a busy guy. He didn't call.
Right.
I had a BlackBerry. It was awesome, man. My BlackBerry didn't ping.
Yeah.
And so after about 30, 40, I even waited 30, 40 minutes, gave
Right.
him.
Right.
And so I'm like, you know what? I know who I am. I'm going to win the day.
Yep.
It was like a four. I said, man, there's plenty of things I can do than wait around for a guy today, right? That was disrespecting me. So I left. And then he tried to challenge me. I call it the F you, educate you rule. He started to F me. Why'd you leave? I'm here. Man, yeah, you're an hour and a half late. Well, you need to come back. No, no. Why should I come back? Because if you're gonna be late at workouts, you're gonna be late running the floor. You're gonna be late to the game. You're gonna be late, hedging off this screen. And
Yep.
you hired me. Now, why could I talk to him like that? Because I knew who I was. I
Right.
know who I am as a leader, and I knew his goals.
Yeah.
Before I train somebody, I always say, "What's your why?"
Yeah.
Because when there's storms, always go back to the umbrella. You can get through storms if you know your why. And his why was, I want to be better than Kevin Garnett and I want to win a championship. Cool.
Mhm.
Well, don't freaking be late.
Yeah.
Today, we lost game one. Today, it's it. You got to understand. Because he loved to work out, but he wanted to work out on his own terms.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to win a championship, you got to be obedient to the team's terms. And I mean, there's a whole lesson behind all that, because he wanted to pop. They asked him to roll. He wanted to be a three. I mean, I said, man, be obedient in who you are. Be consistent, because that's greatness.
Yeah. I
And
love that.
so I said, hey, educate me on why you being late is going to help you win a championship. Why you want me to come back, and then I'll agree with you if there's championship truth behind that. But if you F me, you better educate me with some strong truth. Go.
Yep.
And that sucker hung up on me. So I'm like, I like, man, I either got him or I'm gonna get fired.
Right. Right.
And at 11:30 that night, he called me back. It's like, my bad, yo, won't happen again. We're working out tomorrow at like 6, 7. Yeah. All right. I forget, it was like either 6 or 7, but it was real early. And
Yeah.
he knows I hate getting up early. I stopped getting up early unless I have to, since I've been trained, as a player,
Yeah.
and never had a problem with him again, man, ever.
I love it. I love that. Now to wind down, I know you got things to get done, but you wrote a book, you're an author. So talk a little bit about that. I think oftentimes people have learned so much and it's like, well, there's only one Ganon, right? We can only get so much of you out there. So hey, maybe I can take, ideas, principles, things that have been helpful to me, put in a book, and that can have a lasting legacy and touch, many more people than maybe what you could do one-on-one. So talk a little bit about the inspiration behind it and a little bit about the book.
100%. Books change eternity, help people get to eternity. Matthew McConaughey says, when you write something down, your life becomes alive. Like, words are part of you. It's a legacy that will never go away. I mean, the greatest book ever was the Bible. Look how many, in my opinion, look how many people have translated in so many languages, and it's still relevant. You go back to the Hebrew scrolls, the book is still a little different, but it's still the same context. So books are legacies, and it's my not kryptonite, but my thorn. It's my procrastination. Like, I people have said in 2006, man, you need to write a book. And I just insecure. I have not done it. And man, I just feel ignorant and all this self-loathing. But at 50, I'm like, you know what? Bump it. And so the easiest thing to do, to be transparent, was to write a children's book. So I wrote it in 5 hours. Now, it took me 4 months to get it all together, editing, copyright stuff, artists, but it's an amazing book. Nobody has criticized it yet. We've sold over 1,000 copies, not a lot, but I don't push it. And it's called Take Your Shot. It's called Take Your Shot, about a young boy, a ball, a dream, that basically finds solutions through adversity and embraces diversity. And it's a guy trying to get respect at a park playing hoops. And so I'll leave it at that. But now I have a speaker agency and I'm doing that as a side hustle, but I like to do it as a full-time hustle. It's just I really love what I do, and I'm in so much demand. It's easy to book gigs basketball wise, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I gotta like just commit to and do the speaker thing, and I'll kill it. But I'm on a tour now in my area in Florida, speaking at elementary schools, doing assemblies, and having the school read the book to the classes and giving the book to the schools. And I'm doing one in Fremont, Ohio as well. So that's something that I like to get into more. Teach people in every industry, man, take your shot.
Love it.
Take
I
your shot.
love it.
Don't worry about failing. Prepare for the shot. There's so many layers to that, right? Take your shot, prepare for the shot. To take your shot, you need a passer.
Yep.
To take your shot, you need to be aware of defense and temptations, right? And so through that, for the last 2 years, I've taken 40 sessions, and I probably have about 400 pages of my adult book called Get After It. And it's a memoir of my life, dealing with lessons of passion and purpose.
I love it. I
And
love it. Well,
so,
Gannon, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story and just, yeah, I highlight your purpose and your passion. And everyone listening, spend some time, dive in and focus on what's your purpose, what's your passion, and that'll be the indicator of where you need to be heading. So, Gannon,
amen.
thanks so much, and excited to continue to watch your journey. And probably gonna do this again here in 2 or 3 years once that book's done, and we'll have to highlight it and get it hot off the press.
Yeah, we gotta get that book out because I believe in it now. I'm committed to it. I'm convicted by it, and I think people need it. So thank you.